Dean and Cindy, thanks so much for being willing to be interviewed for Voices of Community, Erath County Oral History Project. I want to start just by asking each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us your name, your full name, and share a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
Okay. So I'm Cindy Edwards. I grew up in Dublin, Texas. Went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Dublin, and always knew I wanted to be a teacher, so Tarleton was convenient, and that's where I met Dean, and we've been together for 45 years. Of course, both of us are in education, and what else do you need to know?
Well, we'll know more soon.
Right.
So Dean, introduce us to you.
I'm Dean Edwards. I grew up in Walnut Springs. I went there 12 years, and I always wanted a girlfriend. And I knew Tarleton had good-looking girls, and came to Tarleton and found Cindy, and my life has never been the same.
So Cindy, you're from Erath County.
Yes.
Dean, you're not. Correct?
Technically, I could be. My family is all my mother and dad from Stephenville. We had family farm up here. We were up here every weekend. So, and I'm kin to a lot of people in Stephenville. But yes, I was raised in Walnut Springs.
And when was Erath County permanent for you? When did that happen? When you came to Tarleton?
Yeah, it had been the summer of 1976.
Okay. Tell me the story of how y'all met.
Was it at Jim Ed Brown and Helen Cornelius?
It's over there.
No, at
Well,
the
it was at-
Student Center.
Well, that was when I was throwing spitwads, but I think I first met you, remember, over here at the pizza place, or Pizza
Oh, that's
Hut.
true. That's true. He was with a friend of his, and I had a friend that was liked.
That's where Montana's
Yeah.
is now.
Yeah, but anyway, we met there.
And it was the Pizza Inn.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And
So
then
talk about what you remember from that first encounter.
she was after my friend, and her friend was after me. And then a few days later, she was sitting in the student center, the sub we called it, back over here at the table by herself studying.
I was studying.
And I was with a group of guys, and she was next to us, and I started throwing spitwads at her. And some of them, this is a true story, some of them said, "You're making her mad," and I said, "I'm going to marry that girl," and that is a true story.
So
True story.
Talk to us a little bit about the early days of y'all's relationship.
Oh gosh, you were, I guess, when you were
was-
about to be student teaching.
I was student teaching.
Yeah, he was student teaching up here at Stephenville High School, about to graduate with his, bachelor's degree.
By the hair of my chinny chin chin.
Right, and I started here in 1978, and I guess I graduated in 80.
It was a year
But
we got
anyway,
married.
he was in his final semester, and I was, in my second or third year getting my home economics degree and wanting to teach home economics. But
Working 3 jobs.
yep, I did. I went totally on scholarships here to Tarleton, and I worked. My family couldn't afford. I was a third of 3 girls, and they couldn't afford to put us all through. And I luckily had all scholarships and worked 3 jobs. I worked the Dairy Queen, the sewing room, and
Man 7-Eleven.
Man's 7-Eleven in Dublin. So yeah, put myself through college.
And when were y'all married?
Dublin, 1980.
1980.
1980 in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was student teaching. I was broke, and she was my sugar mama. She had money.
Yeah, because I worked.
So tell me about the first years of your marriage here in the community. What activities did you do? Where did you hang out? What was life like in the early 80s as a newly married couple?
I would work at the Dairy Queen, and he would come and hang out and then he would hang out so much that they gave him a job so he could work too. And so we spent a lot of time working, and we didn't do a lot.
We spent
Other
our
than
time
that-
getting our education, truthfully. We
Yeah.
were both teaching. After we got married, we were both teaching at Morgan, Texas. She was the home economics teacher. I was
Right.
a science teacher and coach. And of course, with coaching, there was activities all the time. And the summers, we came up here, lived with my parents, worked on our masters.
Yep, we
And-
both
and
went
then both
straight
worked
into
at-
our master's work,
Both worked at Dublin Dairy Queen.
right?
And that was pretty much our life.
Ex-
Occasional movie.
Right. Except for the summer that I was doing graduate work here at Tarleton, but I drove to Abilene every day to pick up a couple of home ec courses so that I could get certified to teach. And so I would get up before the crack of dawn, drive to Abilene, take a class at ACU, drive back, do a master's course, and then start again the next day.
Had 8 o'clock one place and 1:20 the other place.
Right.
And she blew all the leaves out of the ditches going to Abilene.
I did. I could drive it in my sleep.
So Dairy Queen was an important place.
Yes.
Yes.
What other places around town, be it Stephenville, Dublin, anywhere in Erath County, were important hangout or recreation spots that when you got a chance that you went to, or when you ate out?
Yeah, well, we ate frequently over here in the student center. Remember their
Right.
cheeseburgers?
Right. Right.
And
Well, and you ate at the Pizza Hut because it had, not Pizza Hut, Pizza Inn because it had a buffet.
she just called me fat.
But
Yeah,
we ate at the Dairy Queen because we worked there a lot. We also ate at Willie's Diner, which was across the street. Willie's my mother, and she had a Mexican food place there across the street in Dublin, and so we would eat there quite often as well. Yeah.
Willie's your mother?
Yes.
Okay, so is that her name?
Willie Whiteley. Yes.
Willie Whiteley had a Mexican food restaurant there in Dublin. What was the Mexican food restaurant called?
Willie's Diner.
Willie's Diner. Okay, you said that. I missed
and
it.
it was barbecue and Mexican and catfish.
Oh, my
my
gosh.
goodness! Oh, we could eat
Yes,
catfish. And
yeah.
we worked there as well.
Yeah.
We pretty much were working or going to school.
Right. I think one of the fun stories was because we were newlyweds, worked at Dairy Queen. There used to be a furniture place between Stephenville and Dublin. It's about halfway through, and they had inexpensive furniture, and so we went in there looking for a living room suite, and so we asked them if we could just make payments, and we did. And so when we paid it off, we had our living room furniture, we went back and asked we found a dining room set. And they said, well, y'all just go ahead and take it and go ahead and just pay us, when you can.
It was pretty pitiful. We'd get paid by the week at the Dairy Queen.
Exactly.
Stop back by and we'd give them $10 or $20. We did that all summer. And Cindy Pell, as we were loading that, school had started. We were going back to teach at Morgan, and we were taking that living room suite. And Cindy said, I want this little dinette. So we were asking if we could do the same deal. And they slipped around and said, you got the trailer here, just take it. We know you're
Right.
going to pay us for it.
Do y'all still have that furniture, or did it get passed down in the family?
We've got the table and maybe one chair left. The
Yeah.
living room suite didn't last
Yeah.
through the kids, but
No.
I've got that one little table.
But now there was one fun place that we would go occasionally to the movie. There used to be a movie theater downtown,
Oh yeah,
and we went and saw Gremlins there.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was an interesting place.
Well, we still had the drive-in. Did you ever go with me to the drive-in, or was that somebody else?
We could have gone to the drive-in, but I was talking to Dean. Just what was it, yesterday or the day before? In Dublin, they had a movie theater downtown as well. And when we were little girls, my sisters and I, we would walk to town and go to the movie theater in Dublin, Texas. They're right off the main street. And yeah, they're tearing it down now.
Was there a lot of buzz around who I think is the Dublin superstar golfer? Was there a lot of buzz around Ben Hogan back when he was playing and had been from Dublin?
You know, I've heard your dad talk about him.
Yeah, and I've always heard about him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they've got a place over there, a museum, I think, or they did, with his memorabilia and things. But yeah, he was a big thing. They had some rodeo stars that were from over at Dublin, but we were not horse people or rodeo people, but we knew that they were, you know.
Yeah, I think there
they
was
did well in
that old arena behind where the Dairy Queen was. I think that was the Audie Murphy. I believe it was dedicated. Obviously, he wasn't from Dublin, but I think he was a frequent visitor around in that, just from what I'd heard her dad talk about.
Right, and they had an arena out there. It was at the back of the Dublin City Park. They had a rodeo arena back there as well.
So traditions and community events. What traditions and community events, while you were a young couple through the 80s and the 90s, you know, what traditions and community events have been a big deal for you or in Erath County in general that you can recall and talk about?
Well, growing up in Dublin, I mean, you always had to go to the St. Patrick's Day parade, and they always had a fair there. They always had their Miss Dublin pageant and all the things associated with that.
And you were in the Queen's Court one time.
I was, yes. But anyway, yeah, I would say we always did that. And even after we married, we would always take our kids to the carnival there at Dublin, and then we'd go to the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Did most of what y'all did when the kids were young, was it mostly in Dublin, or did you ever come out to Stephenville to do any of the Stephenville activities that were here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, our kids went to school at Morgan Mill and Stephenville High School. So, I mean, we did everything associated with anything that they were involved in, of course. All the football games, and of course they did all the rec hall ball at the rec hall here, and they did t-ball and
You name it.
you name it. We kept them busy, and so that they'd be out of trouble, and we would find ourselves sitting in the middle of all of those fields out at the park, watching one kid over here, one kid over here, and one kid over here.
We've had three playing at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I guess as far as for me, I could talk about the community events and the family events, but at Morgan Mill, the one that just stands out that I take so much pride in being affiliated with it and a member of a group of people known as our Morgan Mill Thanksgiving dinner. There have been times that we shoved 1,100 meals out in 3 hours. You know, and there's, I don't know what, 300 or 400 registered voters in Morgan Mill, but we'd have visitors from the county government, from Tarleton here. In most recent years, we'd go down to Fort Hood and get a couple of busloads of soldiers and bring them up for the day. All of it was donated and supported. It didn't cost the school a dime. And what an undertaking when the meals were prepared not just by the cook staff, but by the faculty and community volunteers, of course, and our junior high, our 7th and 8th grade, had a very strong, or I should say strong, they had, what's my word? Chemo brain here, I think. They're very responsible in the setup and the serving, and I mean, actually in meal preparation. You go out there for a week and we were cooking turkeys. And it's still going on to this day. There would be times that we had television stations out of the Metroplex. And the community supported it as well, tremendous amount of support. We never, it was a free dinner. I remember we always would find, somebody with a personality to have everybody sign the register. About halfway through, this young lady came to me, Mr. Edwards, they're giving me all this money. He says, what do I do? People were just laying out the 20s and the hundreds.
Wow.
And I mean, that was on the day. And of course, people would also just donate cash to be on our little placemat. But it was the place to be. It was a Friday before Thanksgiving. I assume it will happen this next year. But we could talk about adding various extracurricular out there, football, track and field, drill team, band was a big addition. But I take most pride in that because it was a genuine gift to the community. And if you talk to anybody at Morgan Mill, they'll tell you about our Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
Yep.
I definitely want to talk about your educational teaching and your leadership paths because you're both, I'm assuming, right, were superintendents in Erath County
Correct.
at the same time?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. And that's, I don't know how unique that is, but it's probably pretty unique for a married couple to be superintendents.
Well, at the time, there were two couples that were, because it was Dean and I, and then it was Cheryl and Daryl Floyd were both superintendents in the county as well.
In Erath County as
Yeah,
well.
we were all superintendents in the county at the same time.
Yeah, there were some committees that a couple of couples we had we had the power.
Right.
So talk about your educational journey up from teaching through administration and into district administration and into superintendency. You'll have to walk us through that because I know it's pretty rich.
Yeah, I began, of course we both started teaching at Morgan, but when he came to Morgan Mill as superintendent, all they needed was a kindergarten teacher. And so I was not a kindergarten teacher. I had to come back to Tarleton and get my elementary. But anyway, I spent 13 years at Morgan Mill teaching. I was kindergarten, I was
You was kindergarten.
Title I,
Title
K-8. I was the librarian because I was a certified librarian and probably the only ESL teacher on staff. But spent 13 years there, and Dean and I got our master's degree in education administration at the same time. And I tell everybody who will listen,
You got yours in counseling.
well, oh yeah, I got my first
Hers
one in
in
counseling.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got administration, and then she went
And then
back.
I thought, oh yeah, if he can do it, I can do it. So I went, I went back and got my principal and superintendent certification. And so Three-Way ISD was looking for a superintendent. And of course, they only have a single administrator, and that's all they had at the time. And I interviewed for that, and they hired me. And so when I spent 12 years at Three-Way as the single administrator. I did all of the technology. I wrote the technology grants. I did all of the
Library.
library because I was the librarian, which is one of the passions of my life. And also, I was the counselor, testing coordinator. I got my CDL to drive a bus, so I drove a bus when I needed to drive a bus. If we needed
A cook.
If the cook was out, I was the cook.
She rode a lawnmower.
I did summer maintenance, whether it was stripping and waxing the floors. I mean, he would come and help, would strip and wax the floors. They would, people would always, get a chuckle because I would be out on the lawnmower mowing everything because we didn't pay anybody else to do that. I didn't pay anybody else to do that. Basically, I had the philosophy if I could do it, why pay somebody else to do it? Because I mean, we ended up having probably more money in the bank than we ever should have, simply because I followed his philosophy. If you didn't have to spend a nickel, you don't. But I was extremely good at writing grants and getting grants. So there's no telling how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I was able to bring in for technology grants, and also a Reading First grants, which was kind of a fluke because our grade levels had so few students. So if one student failed, our scores looked horrible, because we only had just a handful. So we qualified for that Reading First grant, and there was hundreds of thousands of dollars for Reading First grants. And I mean, being able to get books into hands of kids, and just an amazing number of books on the shelves, and that's where Kathy Irk came in, because I was like, yeah, we want books. I want my kids. I don't want to bring in a company that just sells a bunch of toys, and because our kids were tremendously economically disadvantaged, I didn't want the family money going for junk. I wanted those kids to have books in their hands. So she came in and did those book fairs for us, and had great educational material there, and it was just a great. I appreciate being at Three-Way so much. I mean, we had K through 6 when I started there. We added 7th and 8th grade, and of course after I left, they added high school. But great little community.
You added extracurricular in band.
Oh yeah, we didn't have any extracurricular. I added band, and we did track, and we did some basketball. We also added art, all of those things, because I wanted to make sure that those kids coming out of that small school had anything they needed to transition into high school at Stephenville and be able to pick their direction.
Mm-hmm. Now, Three-Way is, I know it's on the sign. It's a consolidated or so from Stephenville families, or where? Who came together to develop Three-Way?
It was Pony Creek,
Okay,
Duffo, and Johnsville.
got it.
Chalk Mountain.
Oh, Chalk Mountain.
not
No, it wasn't Duffo. It was Pony Creek, Johnsville, and Chalk Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah. And, there years there, people from Glen Rose would come and say, oh, y'all need to let us have this land. And I'm going, I'm not telling my board to give up any of our land. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because your kids want to go to Glen Rose, that's fine if they want to go to Glen Rose, but we're going to keep your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, loved Three-Way. Never wanted to leave there, but eventually I knew that if I wanted to get where we needed to be when we wanted to retire, that I would have to move on. And so I did leave there. I went to Lipan for 8 years and had an amazing experience there as superintendent. Did lots of building there. Actually did some building at Three-Way. But anyway, that's kind of where my professional career has gone. And then transition into Tarleton State University. I had retired and I got a call from Dr. Don Beach, and he said, "Hey, do you want to come out of retirement?" And I said, "Sure, what you got?" And so he said, "Hey, do we need a coordinator of our superintendent and principal certification programs?" And so, and here I am. Yeah, and love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to piggyback. She's leaving some things out. She went to Lipan. Lipan had financial issues. They had started a bond 10 years or so prior
Yeah.
on a gymnasium. Ran out of money. I don't know all the details, but about a third finished multi-million-dollar gym sat there.
For 10 years,
For
unfinished.
10 years. While they're making, what, $180,000, $200,000
Still making bond payments.
bond payments, but it could not be finished. It was such an issue, it was kind of a talk in school finance about
across the state.
across the state about how messed up Lipan got.
Financially.
Cindy
Yeah.
got that job, and within 2 years, well, first off, just on her good works and good public relations, was able to vote another bond, get that gym finished, and it is a premier gym in the country right now. And talk about a star in her crown. She
But you know,
financial wizard.
I could not have done it without that community. I mean, the support of that community, there was no way
Oh, yeah.
they were going to let that school go. And if you don't know Lipan, basketball is king and queen and everything else. But that gym, they were tired of hearing about it, and they were 110% supportive. And that bond passed. I mean, there was no issue.
That's incredible.
It wouldn't have passed if you hadn't have been there
Well,
and you
and
hadn't have
that's
been
true.
putting in good work. Another thing I just got to throw in there, Cindy was the first Tarleton ED graduate
Oh.
to defend.
Yes.
She was in the first cohort, but she defended in December.
Yes.
The others did not defend until later. So she's number one.
Exactly.
She's
I
Queen of
am.
Tarleton.
That's
I did.
incredible. Yeah.
I did.
I'm sorry, I just can't.
No.
I got
I'm very competitive. It's like, okay, I'm going to finish first. So
Yep.
I did.
I just had to brag on my girlfriend.
I'm glad.
There.
Well, it's now time to brag on yourself. So
Exactly.
share your educational journey from teacher in Morgan Mill up into your superintendent.
You don't want to go before?
Well, no. You start where you feel like you need to start.
Okay, to clarify, Cindy and I both taught at a community in Bosque County called Morgan.
Yes,
Okay,
Morgan.
That's
Okay.
down by Lake Whitney. And then we came from Morgan to Morgan Mill.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Grew up in Walnut Springs, came up here to Tarleton, got a degree in biology with a split minor in life science and earth science. Next door to where I grew up was Morgan, Texas. They needed a science teacher, and I was waxing eloquent in the interview about all my science knowledge, and a principal reached down and pulled up a little brown object. He says, "Do you know what this is?" And I said, "That's a football." And he said, "We found us a coach," he yelled down the hall. I had, of course, played sports, but they kind of knew. But anyway, I wound up coaching as well as teaching science. 6 years at Morgan. I was a junior high coach, 3 years as the high school varsity coach. I had my administration early because 76, I started college in the summer. 79, I was in teacher in service at Morgan. By the time I was 24, I was already had my mid-management, and I was applying for principal's jobs. And I would go through the interview, and they'd say, "Come back when your face clears up, kid." I was just too young. In any case, after 6 years, Morgan Mill came open. They needed a superintendent, and I applied and got that job, and I thought, I'm going to be Mr. Administrator. And I got the job, came out here and found out that the superintendent coached. So I did some coaching at Morgan Mill on and off throughout the years. I was, for several years, I was the lone administrator, and we kept growing, basically doubled in our size to where I definitely needed a principal and a lady that had been out there forever, Miss Shirley Couch, which is just a legend all in her own. You need to do Shirley and Morris Couch for this.
Okay.
But anyway, she became my principal as she taught full time. So anyway, I, like Cindy, mowing, waxing, varnishing floors, drive a bus, whatever needed, and I taught sometimes 3 science classes, or usually 2. I taught 7th and 8th grade class until I retired, science, until I retired in 2016.
Longest tenured superintendent in one district in the state of Texas.
I was there 31 years. They consecutive years. At last I heard, I had the record. Lots of people have been in the district and moved through up, from one to another and become a superintendent. But at the time I retired, no one had been a superintendent 31 consecutive years.
In the same district.
In the same district. I've got a certificate from the legislature and from Governor Abbott, and that didn't even buy me a cup of coffee. Tremendous experience. The best experience. The greatest pride that I have in this world, other than my family, is right out there in that Little Rock school and community at Morgan Mill. That's my life's work. And I still go back to substitute from time to time when they allow me.
And we're very proud that we have grandchildren now attending school at Morgan Mill.
Yeah, we're going to have 5 next.
Yeah.
5 grandkids going to Morgan Mill
Right.
next year.
Let's talk about family now. So we've talked a little bit about career. This is a good segue into family. Talk about, when you had the kids. What was a typical day, in the busy life of administrators, teachers, where your kids landed in, whatever years you were in. What was a typical day look like when your kids were young?
They spent a lot of time in the car. They spent a lot of time in the school. I know my experience wasn't unusual for my kids at 3 or 4 if I had to drive a bus to a ball game somewhere, they got on.
Right.
And the kids just passed
Except
them
for
around.
the time you forgot to.
One time I forgot my daughter.
And Tiffany was still at the school, and he had taken a bunch of kids over to the track at Stephenville.
She was on the playground waiting for the bus to leave for us to go to a track practice. We didn't have a track. Of course, we brought them over to Stephenville. Stephenville was always nice to allow us to use many of their facilities. Stephenville and Tarleton. I can't say enough about you guys. We had a tremendous relationship. But anyway, got on the bus and left, and after a while, here came a high school girl while I was tracking. She drove up, brought me my daughter. Tiffany said, "Dad, I watched you drive off." She's 3rd or 4th grade, but one of the local high school girls there had a car, came by and said, "Tiffany, what are you doing?" "My dad just drove off the kids."
Right.
"Well, you want me to take you to Stephenville?" "Okay." Does that tell you about the community?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, and our kids, they were always with us.
Yes.
Summers, they were helping with summer maintenance, is what they were doing. They were at school either at Morgan Mill, and then as they grew up at Three-Way, they always helped. We always kept them, like I say, involved in rec hall basketball, t-ball, anything. So it was shuttling kids from one event to the other, and it never stopped, because as they grew up, we went to everything they attended. And if they weren't having to do something else, they were with us going to wherever we were going. Yeah, whether it was a Morgan Mill ball game or whatever it might be.
They grew up around us, but we kept them with us. Yeah, our oldest daughter learned to ride a lawnmower about 4th grade, she mowed all summer around school there. We didn't hire summer maintenance. We just couldn't afford it.
Right. Right.
And as they got older, my goodness, you get those girls and there's girls' boyfriends, and they could move the furniture out of a room pretty quick so I could get in there and sand and varnish. But
Right.
yeah, we made it work.
Yep.
Right.
What traditions were important in your house, in your household?
We went to church. Movie night was always a good one.
Right.
A tradition our girls had was at the end of the movie, there would always be some kind of rock music or something playing, and little girls, they had to jump up and dance.
During
Right.
the credits?
Yeah,
Right.
during the credits.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We were very fortunate, lived like 200 yards away from my parents. And if they didn't like what we had for supper, they'd go across and get the grandparents to make them something different. So it was still a lot of family, I guess. What else, Cindy? I'm doing all the talking.
Well, and too, I mean, my family was here and was in Dublin, so I mean, you know, we spent a lot of time going back and forth with family, but you know, traditions for like Thanksgiving, we would, I mean, try to do, well, it was all family. We would go to his family's house for their meals, and then we'd go to Dublin for my family. So all of those things. But here lately, for us and our kids coming back and bringing grandkids back, we don't we stopped fixing turkey and dressing because basically nobody really ate it. We'll do a ham, and then we'll do heart attack in a pan. And Dean started the heart attack in a pan, but I think I make it better, so I make it now.
She puts
You've thrown the bait.
she puts some seasoning in there that does
I
not.
do.
All you do is you take a big roasting pan or a roaster, cut up potatoes, onions, and carrots.
A big bag of big potatoes.
Take a big bologna skin of the cheapest greasy hamburger you can, put it right on top of that. Then layer side by side bacon.
All the way across the top.
Bake it for about 3 to 4 hours.
Did you put the onions and the carrots in?
That's what I said, like pot roast.
Yeah.
Bologna loaf?
Yeah, you know how you get
Like
the
at HEB, the 10-pound sleeve
Right. So you don't go have them sliced it. You just tell them you want the slice.
No, I just
of hamburger meat.
Yeah, you just
hamburger
put
meat.
it all in there.
Hamburger meat, not bologna. No.
Okay.
It looked like the old time bologna, you know, that
Yes,
you.
yes,
Okay.
like a tube, like a big
Yes.
tube.
Okay,
The
a
big
tube of
tube.
hamburger,
Got
as
it.
much as you can squeeze in there.
Right.
Halfway through, you take a coffee cup, you lift a pan, and you dip grease out for a while, and then you put it back in and cook it with those.
Okay.
My kids love it. Totally indigestible.
No, they love mine. They don't love his. Because I use seasonal. I do the, chunk up the potatoes and the carrots and the onions and cover it with seasonal and scoop, and then I do the same to the hamburger meat.
That's her home economics background.
Yeah, you have to have. Yeah, he wouldn't even put in salt and pepper.
She'd paint
It's
racing
like,
stripes on
no,
a Rolls Royce.
You've got to season it.
This sounds like a recipe experiment. Where did this come from?
Oh, it's the old camping recipe, Boy Scout recipe. You take
Put everything in foil?
pick it in foil, put it in the campfire. But yeah, and it's served best like the second day. It's like a roast. But yeah, it's heart attack in a pan.
Yeah.
It will take years off your life. Grease drips off your
So
elbows
good.
as you eat it.
The kids, the grandkids, they all love it. They're like, yes.
I mean, we can't make enough. Sometimes we have to make 2 batches because
Right.
Well, I think that's what you're going to end up sharing for your recipe then.
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, heart attack in a pan. Okay, so so heart attack in a pan would end up on the Thanksgiving table
Yeah.
because y'all aren't turkey people.
Well, we'll
Right.
do the turkey. Just time
Every
depends.
once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you want the kids, the grandkids to eat, you'll have heart attack in a pan.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What? So let's move into food and talk about. It sounds like you both shared cooking duties. right? Depending upon who was where and who had time and what was going on. It sounds like, Dean, your heart attack in a pan isn't nearly as good as Cindy's.
You know,
But you think that it is.
you had a choice to pick a side here. You know, she's
Well,
got
I
her.
work with Cindy.
She's got her doctorate. She's done all these things in her career. I can't have a heart attack in a pan, man.
Oh man. Okay,
No.
so I'll try yours. I'm interested to know.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You're invited.
Thank you. So we know the story behind heart attack in a pan, right?
Right.
Okay. We know when would this be? I mean, you were making this constantly.
Oh, you know, when we could get, once a month anyway for
Oh yeah.
since the
And if
90s.
oh yeah, especially if everyone was going to be there and you wanted to cook a big meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best with cornbread.
Okay. Is this cornbread from a box or is this cornbread from scratch?
No, I quit the scratch years ago. I do boxes. It's just too easy.
Yeah.
Are there other recipes that have just originated out of the Edwards family that are unique, like the heart attack in a pan recipe?
Your chicken and rice, my chili.
Right. Yeah. The chicken and rice is a favorite. It's not my original one, but it came from my mother's family recipes, and so it's definitely a favorite as well. And then my cheesecake.
Oh, cherry cheesecake.
Cherry cheesecake.
Okay,
yeah. And it's, unfortunately, we've got our 3 girls, and then we had our son, and we were, at that point, both superintendents. And so I guess he was in high school, or he may have graduated from high school before, when the girls were talking about the cherry cheesecake. Mom, make the cherry cheesecake, make the cherry cheesecake. And he goes, what? Cherry cheesecake? He had never had it.
You
Because-
have to understand, Cindy was in college so much. I mean, she was
Oh, yeah.
she was continuously enrolled,
Pretty much.
except for one semester from 1978 until she finished her doctorate.
Right.
Always getting another endorsement or something.
Certification, yeah.
And so, among those years, that little boy, she was at college and night school and everything, and he missed out on some cherry cheesecake that she had made earlier.
Right.
Well, we haven't talked about the fact that you're doing all this while you're pregnant, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
guys are building it. You have kids that you've had,
Right.
and you're having more children,
Right,
And
right.
you're in school, and you're
Right.
administrating. Like all
Right.
these things are all happening simultaneously.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
And we're still married.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Right.
4 kids.
Right.
12 grandkids.
Absolutely.
So we have some recipes to share here. This is pretty incredible. What lessons or values were really important in the Edwards family home that you've passed on to your children?
Education.
I think, I know Cindy and I, as you will have that serious discussion, and I don't have many of them, but when we were getting married, we talked about some of our goals. Of course, church was one, and then education. I wanted to pay forward, and I wanted to see to it that all my kids had a university degree. I felt my parents sent me to college. I didn't have to work to go. That wasn't the case with Cindy. But it was a good thing because I'm not as smart as Cindy. There's no way I'd get a scholarship. But I
You
think
had too much fun.
a little east-west running, yeah. I got out. But I think we instilled in them to go, to not procrastinate, get as much education as you can while you're young, before life catches up on us.
Right.
Well, as an educator, we both see that happen so often. Senior in high school, you say, what's your plans? Well, I'm going to the university, but I'm going to take this summer off. I've got this good job.
No.
They make just enough money to make a down payment on a car. They spend the next 6 years paying on that car. And that 6 years, they've got a worn out car. What if they'd taken that same money and manage to go to college, they'd have something that can never be taken away from you, that university degree.
Right.
And so it's definitely instilled in our kids and our grandkids. And
Well, and two, I mean, we made sure we paid Texas Tomorrow when it began. We paid 4 years for college degrees for each of our 4 kids. But also, I mean, when they married, we were very insistent that their spouses must have a college degree as well. Mm-hmm. And so each of our, and in fact, our youngest daughter told her future husband, said, well, you're going to have to finish your degree because my parents won't let you marry me until you have a degree. And the same with our oldest daughter and her, when she was wanting to get married, and her fiance was a semester shy of graduating. Mm-hmm. And I was not very kind in what I said to him, but it made him finish. And he finished his degree, and they married the next weekend. But our daughter had not finished her degree at that time, and we made it abundantly clear that she would finish her degree, and he was to make certain of that. Yeah. And she did. And each of our kids finished their degrees. And then we had our son's spouse who didn't have a degree, and actually no one in her family had ever had a college education, but we ended up paying for her college degree. And so they all have their college degrees. And I mean, education is fundamental for us. Mm-hmm. And what we believe will help them have better lives and better chances of doing well.
We lived in a double-wide trailer house, and there was a year there I drove a car back and forth to Morgan Mill that wouldn't shift into high gear. I'd go over there at 40 miles an hour, and it's okay.
But we made sure we were paying into the college funds and
college
making sure the kids, it was paid for. Mm-hmm. And we have, of course, one of our daughters went ahead and got a master's degree, and Mandy mm-hmm.
went
ahead and got her doctorate. So. Very proud of our kids, and we hope we've instilled within them the value of education, and that they pay it forward for their kids.
And I might add, I said earlier, Cindy always wanted to be a teacher. I was a teacher.
I always wanted to be a teacher.
I was a teacher's brat. I had a very similar experience growing up. My dad was a small school superintendent. Mm-hmm. My brother was a small school superintendent. My first cousin is a small school superintendent. And I had a superintendent that made cornbread for me every once in a while. So, my frame of reference is on just so much is a school. And
mm-hmm.
And so it was just natural that we just instill that into our children.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about, and we can come to current day too, depending on wherever this question lands. What memories come to mind? I'm sorry. What moments in your life together stand out the most?
Well, when she said she'd marry me, but most to me was I waited right out there on a little bench while Cindy was being you was defended.
Oh yeah.
And when she came out and she says, "Yeah, I don't know what you said. I passed. What'd you say?"
Right.
And there's the first EDD
from
candidate from Tarleton ever, and we know it would be rigorous. And she was early, and that stands out. I couldn't have any more pride mm-hmm. in what she did. All I did was wash a few clothes, and she...
Right. Well, and kept the kids. I mean, shoot.
But
and for me, I think, you look at families these days, and just the stability that we had for our own children. I mean, we've celebrated 45 years of marriage.
And it hadn't all been bad.
But it might not have all been good. But it was, we knew that we were going to do that. Of course, I came from a family where that's the way my parents were, the same with him. And so we made sure that, that family and family values, education, church, all those things were part of what we instilled in our kids. And
And we don't want to overlook each and every one of the births of our children and all the milestones.
oh
And
yeah,
there are so many.
yeah.
But
Absolutely. What would you say makes Erath County special to y'all?
It's just a great place to have a family. Of course, Tarleton, how convenient is Tarleton for our education and what we believe in, but it's just got the
the community-sized atmosphere.
small community atmosphere. I mean, you know people, yeah, you just, it's just a comfort.
Even the Erath County is blessed with great school systems. And of course, those of us that are in the small rural schools, we have a tendency to think of Stephenville as a big school,
Right.
but it's a rural school. It's
still
a country school. This is what I think Erath County is, what epitomizes what people would think of as the country rural experience.
And even the university is still, I mean, it has grown so much since we started here, but it's still a small university to us. And I think probably to the students who go here, just a very family-oriented community.
Tell me about one of the biggest changes in the community over the time, that, whether it be in Tarleton, Dublin, Stephenville, Morgan Mill, wherever. What's the biggest change that you've seen that sticks out the most?
The community, the community morals, all the good things the communities are there. Traffic.
Oh my goodness.
That to me, it's just is the. I don't want to say negative. It had, it's just people moving around, but traffic has gotten much worse to me in the last 10 years, last decade.
Well, not just traffic. I mean, the growth of the city has just exploded. Like when we were growing up, Wolf Nursery was the edge of town.
That was out in the country.
Which is what's there now? Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That was the edge of the town.
Yeah. Even when we were in college.
Yeah.
My goodness, I can remember when the South Loop was built.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was a time you had to go right down
Washington.
Right down Washington. If you were coming in for 67, you went down Graham, hit Washington, went right through the loop.
Both of the loops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Yeah. It's crazy.
What advice would you give younger couples building a life here together today?
Well, the old saying about hard work and clean living. Same way I've given to my kids, get as much education as you can, as early as you can. And I used to tell people sometimes, marry somebody you can fight with. I mean, if you can fight with him and get over it, well, that's a pretty good match. Make your roots,
Right. And get involved, like we did. You have family. Keep them involved. And I mean, Stephenville has so much to offer kids, and so keep your kids involved. Just be a part of the community about activities that are going on. Tarleton Homecoming Parade and all the things that are
Oh, yeah.
just fun.
Well, you know, 4th of July is such a
Oh,
big-
yeah.
You know, as an educator with 38 years experience plus a bunch of substituting, children are going to be doing good or bad things. Let's keep lots and lots of positive things for them to do. And and as Cindy said, they're just blessed with so many good activities, not just with the community, but there's church activities, there's various clubs, there's all of these things that a child in Stephenville or in Erath County can be involved in something every night of
Yep.
the week and nearly every day. And I do believe that's important. I think it adds to their growth and well-being. They learn to go up, to participate, be a part, maybe give back.
Well, and two, I don't know about Dean, but I never blindly trusted my kids. Just because they said it, you don't believe it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, yeah, no, you want to believe them, but not always a good thing to believe everything your kids say.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, all educators know that there sometimes can be a disconnect in what actually happened and what the child reports.
And so that's why we always kept our kids involved, and they were always with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you hope people remember about your family's time in the community? Be it here when you were superintendents, what do you hope people remember?
For me, in the most, even if it's insignificant ways, I wanted the world to be a better place because I was here. I wanted to make a difference, and it didn't have to be globally but I feel I have made a difference in some kids' lives, and for me that's
Absolutely.
I'd like, if I do have a legacy, I'd like to know that's kind of what, that I made a difference.
I would just ditto that simply because we have had the opportunity to touch so many lives, so many kids' lives, and I look around and I see students who are, I'm thinking, yeah, I was a part of that. You know, they're working in the medical profession or they're over here, and it's like, and I know that programs and things that we put into place in our schools were part of what molded them and gave them the opportunity to do what they do. And it's not just our kids, it's hundreds and if not thousands of kids over the years that we've had the blessing to be a part of and
Truly
to
a blessing.
actually impact what they could and did do.
Is there anything else you'd like to share that we haven't talked about?
Oh, there's so much.
Sure.
I think it's important to note that sometime around 1977 or 78, Tarleton was having a concert over here in Wisdom Gym. Eddie Rabbitt, the country singer. Cindy kissed Eddie Rabbitt.
Really?
Yeah,
I did.
I just.
I don't regret it.
I just think that
It was-
is significant.
I-
Well, tell us a little bit more about, was it just a...
Well, we were just in line getting signatures or autographs, and I'm like, so I kissed him. Sorry.
What else
He's
you got,
pretty
Dean?
handsome young man. He
Oh,
was.
we could
He was
talk.
great.
Sure.
Let's talk about the time. You know, about the time Grease came out with the movie. You know, the long skirts, Olivia Newton-John, the long. They kind of have the pleats and everything, and then the little spike heels. You know, like she wore. Cindy was wearing some of those, and one of those dresses. You know, gorgeous. It was green. And she headed up the stairs or down the stairs over there in the library. And
The outside stairs or the inside stairs?
Inside
Okay.
stairs.
And-
Inside stairs.
And one heel went the other way, and she wound up rolling down with her
On the stairs.
dress over her head and her feet.
It
doing
was not.
I don't know.
But yeah. No, you look around, you get up and you go, hope nobody saw that.
It's incredible the memories that you have. I mean, we're scratching the surface, maybe, right? The memories that you all have of the buildings that were here, the buildings that are here, the buildings that weren't here, the buildings that went up.
Oh yes.
Right?
You know, driving through campus when you could.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have street dances out in front that went all the way through the front gates. It'd be through where what is
The
that?
island,
Yeah, but what's the new building there in front of McDonald's?
the administration building.
Yeah, it wasn't there.
It wasn't
You
there.
drove right up and down. You had parking all
Yep.
the way up and down out here to the cannon. There've been many times that we had street dance out there in front of the.
Wow.
Of course, always, and I never did participate. I didn't live on campus, but beating the barrel, beating the drum at homecoming right out there, and where the island is now, and
Yep.
just we.
All kinds of things.
It's incredible to look back through old grass burrs and see superstar artists like George Strait have come through here 2-3 times
Oh, yeah.
in the 80s
Yeah.
in Wisdom Gym,
Yep.
We had.
and others.
Let's see.
Yeah. Helen Cornelius and Jim
Ed Brown, Helen Cornelius. That's when I took her out for the first time. Mel Street, Mel Tellis was here 2 or 3 times. Doug Kershaw, the Cajun fiddler.
Yep.
We had a lot of the major of the 1970s.
Oh, what was the band? Oh, there was a band. What was that band?
And Johnny Duncan.
Oh, yeah.
He was a local from Dublin.
Dublin.
Had 3 or 4 hits, but he put on a good concert here in 77, 78.
Right.
What band?
Yeah,
did
we
you-
went to lots of concerts over here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the first time she went out with me. Do we have time for that?
sure.
I had this friend, and he was nearly as obnoxious as I was, nearly. And we were in Wisdom Gym. You had the floor, and then you have the upper decks. There's kind of a choke point there coming from the upper bleachers right there where you come into the lobby area. Well, he and I had posted up there, and we were flirting with every girl that came by after the girl. Just every cheesy comment, hey, beautiful, hey, good looking. Well, I had met Cindy, and she came walking through with a herd of girls, her friend, her sister, and another one, and I said, hey, good looking, come with me and we'll run off to Mexico and get married tonight. Cindy was very quiet that time, but she smiled all the time. Well, she smiled, and she pulled the keys out of her pocket and threw them to her sister and says, here, you can take everybody home. She came over. Well, I had a date. So
And no gas in your car.
that was the deal. I had, we went to the Sonic, and anyway, well, I just assumed, like most of the Tarleton girls, Cindy lived in the dorm or somewhere. No, she lived in Dublin. And my old Pontiac was sitting on empty. And you have to understand, in the 1970s, there was not a gas station open,
No.
at
They
night.
didn't stay open all night.
So I did some praying that night. Came time to take Cindy. I thought, Lord, just let me get her home. Then if I run out of gas between Stephenville and Dublin, well, it'll be okay. Of course, no cell phones or anything, but I had enough gas, and I got back to Stephenville and was able to get gas in the morning. So maybe that was a God thing.
Maybe so.
But I'm telling you, how many hundreds of girls and walking by, Cindy's the only one that paid me any attention, just for me being goofy.
And the rest is history.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
I think it's all going to work out.
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
But that was the Jim Ed Brown, Helen Cornelius concert. We didn't go to the concert together, but
Nope.
Wow. Cindy, Dean, it was nice to meet you, and I've had a great lots of great conversations, work related to, you know, like different things with Cindy, but, you know, in an indirect ways, your family has blessed me, and we can definitely talk about that off camera. But I really appreciate the time today. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. We're deeply honored.
Yes.
absolutely. It's been fun.